rough rundown of what you wanted to talk about here was that your goal is to eliminate homelessness. This, to me, seems to be a very persistent problem that if this has existed in other places in the country and the problem continues to occur, that all we can really do is put in place some kind of a community-wide knowledge that this is, and so we can maybe knock it down a little bit, but how are you going to get it eliminated just by, because those factors that you just talked about, the cancer, the loss of job, all those things, those are going to continue to happen. So to me, it seems like this, all you're really doing is making resources available to somebody, so maybe we can knock it down a little bit.
Well, the resources are definitely there to help knock it down for that current event, but the data we collect from the event can help inform programs that already exist in the community, can kind of help show the scope of the problem of homelessness in the community, can change those misconceptions, and part of solving any problem is identifying it. And so if there is a belief that there's a certain way to target certain group of people who are at risk or are homeless, but that is not reaching the entire scope, you need to kind of understand the whole problem in order to move towards solving it. And right now, that's kind of where this community is at. I was fortunate enough to go to the event at the Lutic Museum, which was kind of also aimed at information and challenging some of the stigma around homelessness. And so right now, this is really going to serve as a way to figure out what the scope of the problem is, who the people that need services really are, and what kind of help they really need, and then we can move forward from there.
Can I add, excuse me, and Emily will be saying what kind of services we're looking at right now that have signed up and that we hope to get to the event. But it's an educational event also, because we'll get data too to give more education to the Brother Francis shelter, but also hopefully we can reach that audience, like I mentioned. And I'm not that bad, I'm sorry. I can relate to how close people are to being in a situation where they need somewhere to stay. Like you say, a medical illness, something, a broken down car. There's these things that can happen that can just all of a sudden change your whole life. And I know people it's happened to. But like what you mentioned, I'm of the mind also to wait. I don't need help. I can sell something. I can do what I need to do until I'm at a crisis stage. And I'm not, but I feel like I'm an example of a lot of people. What could happen. So hopefully with this event, the community will be educated and come in and get information about what they can do before something like that happens. If they feel like they're not on the best ground right now, or that, the situations as they may be can be changing things, hopefully this will give them some tools and information from agencies in town as to what they might need to do to help get a stronger base, or if they do need help, where they can go before they're at a crisis stage.
So who's the target for this event? Is it people in the community who are going to come in and find out more about homelessness and want to volunteer to help? Or is it people that, are in a position where they need help from resources?
Yes.
Both. It's both.
Yes.
Okay, so when is this thing, and what exactly is going to happen when it happens?
So it's going to be Wednesday, March 13th. It's from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Kodiak High School gym. And we, in the morning, we will, the FCCLA at the high school will be cooking hot breakfast for both volunteers and people receiving services as sort of a breaking bread, very in the tradition of what the history of the Brother Francis shelter and whatnot. And then it will move forward. We'll have service providers there. And we're looking for a variety of volunteers. We're putting together a security team to kind of make sure everybody's staying safe and staying out of areas in the high school that they're not supposed to go in. And then we are going to have one-on-one volunteers that will help with the clients connecting them to services, helping them fill out paperwork. So you will kind of be assigned a family or an individual and kind of take them through in that respect. We will be needing help. We're planning on having a clothing and food bank type area where people can get all different kinds of, like, whether it's canned goods or like you would find at the food bank, or socks and underwear and things like that. And so we'll need people to monitor those areas, keep them stocked, keep them clean, things like that. And so there's just a huge amount of volunteer opportunities. We're looking for people who can translate even and help people fill out paperwork. And we're just really, it's like Dana said, it's an all hands on deck type project. It will be really great for this community. There's something to be said for, the feel good feelings that you get when you're helping somebody out too. So, if you're interested, I encourage you to contact me, and I will help you get registered as a volunteer.
So I'm thinking of this as like a health fair or a job fair almost, that it's set up the same way, where there's booths all around, where there's people offering advice to people who come in. I'm just curious as to how much interest there is in the community that's most affected by this and wanting to come to an event like this.
So as far as interest to come to the event, we're really hoping to have a lot of turnout. It's hard to say because in Kodiak we've never had an event like this. But I do know that they've been hugely successful in other communities. I think that Kenai served, like, I don't have the exact numbers on me right now, but it was upwards of like 600 people, I think, each year that they were able to serve within the community of Kenai and Soldotna. I'm hoping that we will have a pretty good turnout, not just with volunteers, but also with people to connect to services.
Well, I know from hearing from reports around the city in the last year or so that the demand on some of the services like the Brother Francis shelter and the food bank have gone up a lot. And I'm just wondering, do we even have a number? I mean, what percentage of our population could actually be at risk of being homeless, and how many people could actually benefit from something like this?
So for the homeless prevention program, I help about 300 families a year. So we can start from there. Those are people that are coming in and getting referrals and information and assistance. From there, the people that I'm not talking to, I have no idea what the number is, but that's a significant percentage. And then for the shelter, we help about between 200 and 300, depending on the year, that access shelter services.
And times are getting tough in Kodiak. The fishing has not been as good as it's been in past years, and families are really struggling because of that. And so I think a higher population of people that have been really well off are feeling that tightening of, their finances, of what they're able to afford, because the fishing just isn't as good. It affects the cannery workers. It affects all of the support companies that provide services or goods to the fishermen and the fishermen themselves. So this town is definitely going through some changes right now, and so I think it's a really good way for people to be able to access some services that they may not know about because they haven't had to access them in the past.
Well, what's the end game, though, if you want to stop homelessness by having an event like this and providing services? How does that get us to a place where we're not continuing to provide services?
Hopefully, with the information that we get from Project Homeless Connect, we can use that to inform and evaluate the effectiveness of the services we're already providing in this town, find out where there's service gaps, find out where we can improve so that we can work towards that end. It's very much informational.
Right. It may be that we as a community are not in a place where ending homelessness is really going to happen, but that needs to be a deliberate, informed decision as a community that we make. So if we decide that we're just not going to provide some services, we need to say, we need to be able to say that there's this many people that are needing this service, and we don't have sufficient resources to accommodate that at the minimum. Homelessness in and of itself is definitely an endable problem. We can house people. That doesn't mean that we wouldn't provide other services or that nobody would ever end up sleeping outside again, but it's certainly a simple piece. Now there's other pieces that are associated with homelessness, like addiction and things like that, and we are working on it as a community to address those issues. There's been a lot of substance abuse addiction, what do they call it, with the communities and coalitions and things like that are working on those problems.
Right.
But homelessness itself is definitely something that we can address. We just need the information to really decide how we're going to do it and what we're going to do.
Okay.
And at this event, Mike, we can offer some help for some people that might make an immediate difference. We're hoping to offer rides out to DMV so people might get their ID. We're hoping to give them these informational services where they'll find out how to get a voucher for housing. They might be able to improve their situation with some of the information that they get at this event. And because we'll connect them right there with the people they need to talk to, and hopefully if they need a translator or whatever, we can help expedite that, so that it'd be awesome if some of the people that are actually there at the event, if not at least get on the road to getting these services, actually see some change happen because of what they do at the event.
Okay. Final thing is, if somebody wants to get in touch or wants to volunteer or wants to come, who do you need and who do they contact?
You can contact me or Dana at the Brother Francis Shelter, and the phone number there is 907. Also reach me at PHC, sorry, threw me up there, PHC, like Project Homeless Connect, Kodiak at gmail.com is my email for this project as well.
Great. Hey, best of luck to you all. If anybody wants to help, I would advise you to take advantage of those two numbers and see people. If you're just interested in the whole project, what day is it again?
It's March 13th from 8 to 4.
Thank you, Emily, Dana, and Lori. Appreciate you coming in today.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
All right.